Do you ask where they have their money from?
Don't ask.
Because
it's not our concern, such as our concern is just what you want to know.
In less than 70 years, Dubai went from this village in the desert to a global economic hub, thanks to Saudi oil wealth, strategic trade infrastructures, tax-free zones, and luxury tourism. However, a tendency to financial secrecy, lax regulations, and poor enforcement of international laws have attracted lots of lawbreakers to this modern world El Dorado. This is how Dubai became a haven for criminals. Early 2000s. The United Arab Emirates began to transform a barren desert into their vision of a futuristic city built for wealth and luxury. The Dubai International Financial Center, or DIFC, established in 2004, created an environment compromising free zones, lax government oversight, and an important geopolitical location bridging Asia, Africa, and Europe. Now, the city was created as a magnet to attract investment from all over the world. By 2010, over 20,000 companies operated within the DIFC, accumulating assets exceeding $200 billion. However, the permissibility, lack of scrutiny, and the overall ambiguous morality behind the system allowed for anonymous offshore entities to thrive. In this climate of rapid growth, legitimate investors begin to coexist with corrupt politicians, organized crime syndicates, and fraudsters from all over the world who found in Dubai the perfect ecosystem to launder their dirty money. In 2020, Dubai had an estimated $150 billion in hot money flowing through the UAE's financial ecosystem each year. This dirty money has been traced back to a variety of illegal activities like embezzlement, international sanctions evasion, human trafficking, and more. Criminals are having a great time legitimizing their dirty money in Dubai, thanks to the UAE's Hawala system, an informal, trust-based money transfer network that operates under an implicit code. Don't care, don't ask. Everywhere you look, you'll find street gold bazaars, luxury villas, billion-dollar real estate projects designed as long-term money laundering investments, and supermodel-ridden millionaire parties. But when authorities follow the money, they often find that these pieces of millionaire heaven are financed by shell companies and cocaine, and they can't stay hidden forever. Or can they? Why don't we take a look at some of the worst criminal scandals uncovered in Dubai so far?
You sold it to a refinery and the money got paid in the bank account. So it's very clean that way.
March 23rd, 2023. Qatar-based global media network Al Jazeera begins airing Gold Mafia, a shocking 4-part documentary showing a thorough investigation that exposes the dirty underbelly of the gold trade in Dubai. Simon Maskell, a British Zimbabwean businessman, runs a network of gold smuggling from an exclusive skyscraper called Dubai's Almas Tower. The man's moving billions of dollars in illegally obtained minerals from conflict zones in Africa. The undercover journalist conducting the investigation managed to film these Chinese gangsters with ties to infamous triads. The fake investors were interested in laundering a shocking $1 billion. The men they met work every day, bleeding natural resources out of several allegedly poor African countries like Zimbabwe and Kenya, working from within the highest echelons of diplomacy and government connections. The kinds of connections that allow you to have a country's president at your disposal with a phone call. The man running the show is Hubert Angel, Zimbabwe's ambassador at large for Europe and the Americas, a self-proclaimed prophet, and the head of Good News Church. The man blatantly brags to the undercover reporters.
I can move money, gold, anything. My diplomatic passport is my weapon.
A convoluted network of licensing, loans, fake companies, illegal exports, and smuggling through officially sanctioned routes and airports allowed for tons of gold to be diverted to the UAE. Once in Dubai, the gold-obsessed buyers from connections all around the world would do their financial black magic to pay any individual anywhere in the world. Or if you fancy physical currency, arrange all the necessary routes and paperwork to illegally move millions in cash. When money's the name of the game, Bribes are the ace under the sleeve. With everyone receiving a piece of the cake, the money keeps flowing unnoticed.
I can give my partner gold in Dubai and he can just pay you anywhere in the world. So I need him to come up with a plan of how to wash the money.
These operations allegedly smuggled gold from these conflict zones in Africa to UAE refineries. And in the end, all this processed gold is sold to European and Asian markets with forged certifications, making it look clean and conflict-free. At the heart of this operation is also Kamlesh Patni, a controversial Kenyan businessman and politician accused of facilitating gold smuggling by securing exclusivity licenses for bad actors. According to Al Jazeera's investigation, Interpol official data shows that over 40% of gold imported by the UAE in 2022 entered the country through these smuggling operations. The gold comes from unregulated mines in Zimbabwe, Sudan, and the DRC.
Zimbabwe's central bank has frozen the accounts of individuals implicated in gold smuggling and money laundering following an explosive Al Jazeera documentary series titled Gold Mafia.
Even after this investigation disclosed an earth-shattering amount of evidence and had filmed most of these criminals openly discussing the details of their schemes, Dubai and the UAE refused to open an investigation, citing insufficient evidence. On the other hand, Zimbabwean prosecutors issued a warrant for Maskel's arrest in June 2023. To this day, the only consequences for the Zimbabwean men implicated are freezing local accounts and assets of certain important individuals. Maskel remains a free man, and gold keeps coming to Dubai.
Six raids were carried out simultaneously while the suspects were sleeping in their Dubai residences. After months of investigating and hours of monitoring the gang's social media accounts,
June 10, 2020, Operation Fox Hunt 2, a joint task force formed by Dubai's SWAT team and FBI agents, stormed 6 high-end residences to drag Ramon Olorunwa Abbas, a Nigerian influencer known to his 2.8 million Instagram followers as Hush Puppy, and 12 accomplices from the comfort of their beds. After 4 months of an international investigation, Dubai's cybercrime specialists tracked down Hush Puppy's digital footprint across criminal operations spanning several continents. Now, this gang was involved in all kinds of frauds and scams, mainly over the internet, like hacking emails, creating fake payment processing companies, and even building fake websites from scratch or duplicating the websites of legitimate businesses to catch the unwary off guard. They became experts in deceiving companies based in Europe, Asia, and the Americas into wiring payments to their controlled accounts. The Dubai cyber team had seized lots of hard drives and computer equipment used in these frauds. They would get access to several terabytes of data, linking this gang to illegal activities affecting nearly 2 million victims, both individuals and corporations, whose losses totaled over $435 million.
little did Abbas know, Dubai e-police teams were tracking his every move and taking note of all his social media activities.
Once the Dubai police had sufficient evidence to get the warrant against Abbas, the raid was swift and coordinated. It yielded even more precious evidence in the form of all those seized assets incriminating him and his accomplices. 21 computers rigged with spoofing software, 47 smartphones linked to active phishing campaigns, and 15 memory cards storing templates for all kinds of counterfeit invoices. They kept thorough details of illegal transactions across 28 countries in several encrypted hard drives. And of course, there were the seized goods acquired with all the stolen funds, 13 luxury cars valued at $6.8 million. All the evidence allowed the freezing of multiple bank accounts holding $40 million in illicit gains. The array of cybercrimes committed by Hush Puppy is wide and ambitious. In one of the schemes uncovered by police, the gang hacked and infiltrated a construction firm's email chain. This was the first step toward impersonating a Qatari businessman and other executives in redirecting money to a $15 million project fund destined to build a school. Abbas and his gang posed as Malibu-based bankers and fabricated a fake bank website and documents, convincing the victim to pay $1.1 million in advanced fees for the loan. That money went through Bulgarian and Romanian bank accounts until it finally became untraceable through cryptocurrency investments and luxury purchases. In another big hit, they got even less scrupulous and literally stole from charity. They created a fake COVID-19 relief portal that redirected donations meant for medical supplies and victims' relief. Abbas also had a big plan cooking for when the gang was arrested. They were perfecting a plot to steal £100 million from an English Premier League soccer club. Hushpuppy's gang hacked a senior executive's email from the club and impersonated him. They tried directing a transfer to a Hungarian bank account, but the transaction was flagged and halted at the last minute. And finally, in 2020, they designed yet another business email compromise scheme to attack a Maltese bank. They had diverted funds intended for a client into accounts controlled by his network, a heist worth $14.7 million.
The Nigerian Instagram celebrity, who was arrested on multiple fraud charges for crimes committed in different parts of the world, boasted about his wealth and expensive possessions on social media.
Hushpuppy's nonchalant online self-exposure as a wealthy individual were the keys to his demise. Dubai's cybercrime division followed and dissected his social media posts for months. 5-star hotel suites, private jets, high-end jewelry, and sports cars. This guy would flaunt more and more every day to paint a facade as this luxury real estate mogul. Nevertheless, behind closed doors lay a maze of cloned payment portals, hacked accounts, hijacked identities, fake corporate websites, and forged email chains. A carefully put-together digital machine designed to cash from unsuspecting victims into offshore accounts. But a combination of arrogance and stupidity secured the gang's downfall. Hushpuppy uploaded a geotagged Instagram story from a Dubai steakhouse, and then Dubai police had cross-referenced the coordinates with available surveillance footage and would place him at a meeting with accomplices days before the raid. As if that wasn't bad enough, cybersecurity experts had discovered a misconfigured VPN server that leaked their actual Dubai IP addresses. July 2nd, 2021. The United States wanted Abbas, so he was quickly extradited. He was sent on a plane in less than 48 hours. Once there, he would face charges of conspiracy to engage in money laundering, wire fraud, and identity theft in the Central District of California. He pled guilty to wire fraud and money laundering, and in his 2022 trial, his prosecutors would detail how he managed to use Dubai's banking infrastructure and the trust-based Hawala system to launder dirty money from crypto exchanges and shell offshore companies. Abbas received an 11-year and 3-month sentence. Additionally, the court ordered him to pay $1.7 million in restitution and to forfeit $1.7 million in cash, 13 luxury cars, and 47 smartphones. However, thanks to his plea deal and his cooperation in identifying accomplices like Canadian money launderer Caleb Almery, his sentence was lighter than that of one of his co-conspirators, Nigerian actor and socialite Olalekan Jacob Ponley, aka Woodbury, who was sentenced to a 12-year term.
I give a lot of credit to the FBI agents who arrested Hushpuppy, but we are not going to arrest our way out of this problem. We took one bad guy off the streets, but how many more of them are out there?
However, experts in the case, like former FBI Special Agent Scott Augenbaum, noted that Hushpuppy was only a small player in a broader ecosystem with plausible ties to state-funded hacking campaigns connected to Russia and China, countries that might be trying to take advantage of the UAE's cyber vulnerabilities to siphon money out of their ecosystem. Hushpuppy remains under custody at the Federal Correctional Institution Fort Dix in New Jersey. Nigerian authorities were criticized for perceived inaction during that investigation, but have since collaborated with the FBI on cybercrime task forces. As of today, social media is being sporadically used to spread rumors of an early release, but they remain unsubstantiated. Hushpuppy's release is expected around 2031.
Rajesh Atul Gupta fled South Africa in 2018 after being charged with fraud, corruption and money laundering. Although an Interpol red notice has led to the arrest of the brothers in Dubai, it may be some time before they're extradited.
June 6, 2022. Dubai police storm a luxury villa in the Emirates Hills neighborhood. They capture Atul and Rajesh, two of the three infamous Gupta brothers. These Indian-born businessmen arrived in South Africa in 1993 and started escalating political positions that catapulted them from humble PC repair guys to government advisors. From their unbelievable positions of power next to the most influential South African politician, the president himself, they would siphon billions of dollars from public funds, and then became South Africa's #1 public enemy. The arrest was a significant landmark after a decade-long pursuit. The Guptas had built a huge financial empire with their company, Sahara Computers, as the base. But when they met President Jacob Zuma, who ruled the country between 2009 and 18, they began aiming higher. So they decided to ransack South Africa's institutions without remorse, leaving a trail of jobless rural dairy farmers and miners after stealing money intended for growth and depressed economic activities.
We will be critical too as well, but not such a harsh way. We believe South Africans know what our mistakes, we will correct very fast and will come again very positive.
Their schemes covered a wide array of economic sectors and companies. Their empire once spanned across 13 companies. ANN7 TV and the New Age newspaper were used to broadcast propaganda on Zuma's administration. The broken lives they left behind, unemployed workers to begin with, started unraveling their deception through explosive leaks. At the same time, judicial inquiries began, and without tangible results, the subsequent administration started offering hope on the solution of the many embezzlement cases with the delusion of someday somehow retrieving all the money the Guptas looted. But of course, if you've been following the video so far, you already know where the money was sent, right? The Guptas systematically siphoned their stolen assets to real estate properties and secure accounts in Dubai.
Soon, newly elected President Cyril Ramaphosa wrote to the UAE he wanted the Emirates to extradite the Gupta family. The United States and the United Kingdom declared them persona non grata. The family was slapped with visa bans. Their assets were frozen.
But let's get a bit back in time to understand how they managed to infiltrate South African politics to the core. The Guptas, Ajay, Atul, and Rajesh, practically groomed President Zuma since 2003, and after his 2009 election, their influence got huge. Being so well connected, they made all kinds of good deals. And using their holding company, Oak Bay Investments, to diversify their portfolio, they would acquire the stakes in mining, media, and technology companies, often through suspicious transactions, or by using their influence to skip licitation. Now, they made a big mistake in 2013. Maybe they wanted to show off their level of proximity to power, or maybe they were just blinded by hubris. But they blatantly displayed their power by making a chartered Jet Airways plane carry 200 guests from India because they were having a family wedding. And to make it worse, that plane illegally landed at a military facility called Waterkloof Air Force Base, which generated public outrage. Nothing happened to them in South Africa, of course. They were allegedly so ingrained in the government that they were naming and removing ministers at will, manipulating state-owned enterprises like Eskom and Transnet for bribes, illicit profits, and so on.
President Jacob Zuma was accused of orchestrating the landing, but did his best to ignore the debacle.
President Zuma, it's been 20 days since the Gupta landing scandal. Do you have a comment for us now?
One of their top enterprises in the country was 2013's Free State Agricultural Initiative that was meant to empower black farmers called the Vrede Dairy Project. But as farmers received promises and nothing more, $15 million from provincial funds were diverted through Estina, another shell company linked to the Gupta brothers, who shamelessly led lives of luxury in the country. June 2017, in a highly publicized expose known as the #Gupta Leaks, a team of investigative journalists expose a batch of 200,000 emails proving all kinds of illegal activities carried out by the Gupta brothers and showing the actual extent of their infiltration in the South African government. The documents confirm that the Guptas influenced ministerial appointments, received kickbacks from freight transport company Transnet's procurement of 1,064 locomotives, inflating costs by $1.1 billion, and then laundered all that money through Dubai-based front companies.
The Gupta leaks painted a picture of an intimate partnership between the Guptas, Dudazani Zuma, government ministers, and parastatal executives.
The emails were so blatant that they showed illegal activities carried out by the government itself in collusion with the Guptas. One of them kept records of a $2 million transaction under the name Zuma Spy Traps that allegedly funded unlawful surveillance of political opponents. In February 2018, after months of social and political turmoil, President Zuma resigned under party pressure. There were a lot of legal proceedings related to the hashtag Gupta leaks, and lots of properties were expropriated by South African authorities, who even filed 32 criminal charges against the Guptas and their associates in 2021. Fraud, money laundering, and racketeering were only the beginning of the list. The Guptas were marked by Interpol, but they had already fled the billionaire way right after Zuma's resignation. By the time the Interpol red notices were issued, they'd been established in Dubai for years to enjoy their stolen freedom and wealth under the sweet umbrella of the UAE's no extradition policies.
But the brothers remained out of public view, surfacing in Dubai, and have not yet returned to South Africa, even though their closest associates appeared in court to answer to allegations of state capture.
When South Africa pressured the UAE to act on this case, their courts stalled the process as long as they could, citing procedural errors in the required paperwork. The Guptas were arrested in 2022 after severe diplomatic pressure, but the proceedings were delayed until February 23, when a Dubai court was supposed to approve their extradition. However, according to information published by Deutsche Welle, South African Justice Minister Ronald Lamola declared that while the National Prosecuting Authority, or NPA, was preparing an 18,000-page indictment, they learned with shock and dismay that the extradition hearing had been concluded in the Dubai court on the 13th of February 2023, and our extradition request was unsuccessful. DW explained that
the court determined that the UAE had jurisdiction over money laundering charges, as these crimes were allegedly committed in both the UAE and South Africa.
Additionally, the court would find that the arrest warrant related to fraud and corruption charges had been cancelled.
Will the arrest lead to an extradition? The UAE and South Africa have a treaty in place, but that alone does not guarantee an immediate extradition. Also, what happens to the third brother? He has neither been named in the notice, nor has he been arrested.
The South African public reacted to these proceedings with exhaustion and cynicism, as people doubted the Gupta brothers would ever face trial at home or even repay the nation's stolen funds. Meanwhile, the Gupta's defense relentlessly denies all charges and has even sued journalists for defamation. In their version of the story, all these allegations are a result of hidden political agendas. As early as 2016, Atul Gupta claimed in a TV interview,
"We are scapegoats for South Africa's problems just because we are outsiders."
Thousands of containers. They bring in the cocaine. 40 tons of it was seized here last year alone. But much more gets through.
December 16th, 2019. A Moroccan-Dutch man enters the UAE under a false identity and is about to be expelled from the country. His name is Ridouan Taghi, a key figure in an international drug super cartel, also known as the Mokro Mafia, an encompassing term for criminal groups primarily composed of people of Moroccan descent operating in the Netherlands and other parts of Europe, responsible for at least a third of Europe's trade. Since there is no extradition between the UAE and the Netherlands, the man's deported to the European country where he's wanted for murder charges. Taghi's arrest in Dubai wasn't coincidental. It was a joint operation between Dutch police and Dubai authorities that would take several months to complete, and was cleanly executed without resorting to the use of violence. He was in Dubai making connections for his empire, and according to official sources, leading a luxurious life in the city under several aliases.
It's here that special forces detain the man suspected of ordering the killings. Police find a stash of cash and guns at the apartment. Red wine and cigarettes are left on the table.
His presence just exposed another facet of Dubai's role as a haven for international criminal organizations. He was the head of the so-called Angels of Death, a high-profile criminal group in the Netherlands involved in big-scale drug smuggling and contract murders across Europe and Africa. Naturally, he's one of Europe's most wanted men, and his capture in Dubai both unraveled his extensive criminal empire and would expose once again how Dubai's financial systems and the barely existing regulations and legal frameworks had been exploited by these organizations trying to legitimize their money. Ridwan Taghi was born in Morocco in 1977, but moved to the Netherlands as a child. There, he created a vast and sophisticated criminal network, and by 2013 he was already big in Europe's drug trade, importing coke from South America through Dutch ports, and creating a personal trademark for himself and his organization. Operations marked by extreme violence, ordering killings to silence rivals or punish traitors, etc. Among other cases, though, he was wanted in the Netherlands for his connections to several murders. One of these killings would take place in 2015. It would be Ronald Bakker, who had cooperated with police investigations into Taghi's organization. He was also linked to the death of Dutch attorney Dirk Wiersum in 2019. Taghi had evaded capture for years, allegedly linked to at least 4 attempted murders and 6 actual murders, including journalist Peter R. de Vries. With the help of false documents, he was able to travel under different aliases and appearances. And he chose Dubai for all those good reasons we just talked about, but mostly because of their no extradition policy. In 2019, he was ready to stay there and operate and leave behind all that fear. But international pressures led Emirati authorities to collaborate in his arrest. After deportation, he became the central figure in the Marengo trial, one of the largest criminal proceedings in Dutch history that lasted for about 6 whole years. This long investigation led to the conviction of Taghi and 14 other people, with sentences ranging from 1 to 30 years. This was all possible because of the help of an informant, a man identified as Nabu B, a member of the Mokro Mafia who turned against Taghi and provided evidence to the prosecution. Public opinion plays a key role in the trial's outcome, as people in the Netherlands kept an eye on the case and insisted on asking for justice in the case of the murdered journalists.
Over the 6 years of the trial, nearly everyone connected to this case had to be placed under police protection: lawyers, judges, witnesses, and family members.
The super cartel, spanning across Europe and parts of Africa, consisted of a series of alliances that included other high-profile criminals, such as Raphael Imperial from Italy's Camorra Mafia, Daniel Kinahan from Ireland's Kinahan cartel, and Edin Gassanin from Bosnia. All these crime lords were connected to Taghi through alliances destined to facilitate the drug trade across Europe. They moved drugs in staggering amounts under carefully crafted operations. In November 2022, Europol's Operation Desert Light dismantled a big part of the super cartel. International efforts in collaboration with several local police forces led to the seizures of over 30 tons of cocaine worth billions of euros on the street, and more importantly, 49 arrests across multiple countries. The majority of people involved were based in Dubai and used the city as their operational hub. The DEA identified this unusual alliance as one of the world's largest organizations working as a drug cartel. Their tentacles had reached so far as to completely control the coke trade in far-flung regions of the world. Their control over a substantial portion of the European coke market expanded to territories such as Peru, where they held a virtual monopoly on coke smuggling. On the other side of the world, the criminal conglomerate's operations were simplified by establishing Dubai as a common ground for all players. Mobsters would organize blatant high-profile meetings in exclusive locations, like the Burj Al Arab Hotel itself.
Ridwan Taghi, the 46-year-old, will serve a life sentence for his ordering and involvement in 6 murders and a string of attempted assassinations between 2016 and 2017.
The Italian mobster Raphael Imperiali was eventually arrested in Dubai in August 2021. Italian justice made sure to make a valuable asset out of him by making him into a petito, or crown witness, who could potentially provide valuable information about their inner workings. As for his sentencing, there's nothing definite yet. He has donated an important number of assets in the frame of his cooperation with justice, including 2 stolen Van Gogh original paintings and even an artificial island in Dubai valued at over $15 million, all in this effort to reduce his eventual sentence, of course. Now, the prosecution's going for a total of 14 years and 10 months on his charges of trafficking and money laundering. Bosnian drug trafficker Edin Gasanin, known as the European Escobar, is still believed to be the main actor in his organization. He was also arrested in Dubai in 2022 under Operation Desert Light, in another international joint effort from the DEA, the EU, and police departments across several countries, including the Netherlands, Belgium, Spain, and the UAE. Now, the Netherlands requested his extradition, but it was pointless. Dubai authorities released Gacanin on a technicality after a mere 2-month confinement. The Netherlands simply took too long to file the required paperwork, and Dubai was forced to release him. He ended up evading a 7-year sentence and a €1 million fine, imposed on him after a plea deal with Dutch prosecutors for smuggling 8,000 kilos of methamphetamine precursor chemicals and thousands of kilos of coke. And last but not least, we have Daniel Kinahan from Ireland. He had it pretty easy. He was arrested, but not recently. This guy was caught in Spain after another joint operation involving British, Irish, and Spanish authorities. More than 200 officers from the British Series Organized Crime Agency, predecessor to the National Crime Agency, targeted Kinahan's international drug smuggling enterprise. This guy was given 6 years at that time, but would continue running things from the inside. Even while serving shorter prison terms in several European countries, he kept expanding his operations.
The Criminal Assets Bureau has also stated that Daniel controlled and managed the Kinahan cartel, smuggling drugs and firearms into Ireland, the UK, and mainland Europe.
He moved to Dubai, really enjoying the lack of an extradition treaty between Ireland and the UAE. As of 2022, he's still living the rich life in Dubai, and would also be involved in more money laundering and drug smuggling. The last time he made headlines would be in April 2022, when the UAE froze his assets, including business and personal bank accounts. He remains a free man even with a $5 million reward placed over his head by the US. As of 2025, we haven't heard anything about new arrests or sentences regarding the super cartel. Nevertheless, Europol proudly declared that this big crackdown was a textbook example of what is achievable within a climate of actual cooperation between international agencies and police forces fighting against organized crime.